All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. It is Thursday, May 16th, 2024. Glad to be with you this morning and every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on our YouTube channel. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of our future videos. Really do appreciate the support. We're trying to get to 10,000 subs. That starts with you clicking the like button and the subscribe button. So glad to be with you again. Let's rock. Dow futures are flat. NASDAQ futures, listen, all the futures are flat. We hit all-time highs yesterday on the NASDAQ and the S&P. The Dow has not hit all-time highs yet, but at least on the future side, SPX, there you go. We got there. So let's go around, run down the rest of the market, and then we're going to go ahead and do some charting, kind of see what's next, answer some of your questions, and we'll just go from there. We'll start with yields, 4.352. So let's go down the list here. 10-year treasury yields, important, as we know. It doesn't move one for one, but it gives us a good hint. So we are now below that 44 level that I wrote down. Remember, that was kind of our level of support. We are now below the 200-day moving average. Next level down is 42.58. That is your 100-day moving average. That's pretty much your last stop. But again, guys, this is a breakdown. You can see the upward channel breakdown. This is a reversal. This is pretty much our target. And I think I drew something there from the last video that we did. There we go. Pretty much on par. Excellent. So again, we're expecting 10-year treasury yields to pull back even further. This is going to be supportive of stock prices going higher. So that's number one. Number two is the US dollar. Now, we did bounce overnight slightly above the 200-day. So let's chart it. Let's see the arrow icon. Okay. See that wedge breakdown? We bounced right off the 200-day, which is right at 104.29. But the key level that we wanted to break down was 105, and we finally got it. What got us through was the CPI number yesterday. So good stuff. Lower inflation, yes. Expectations. Everyone's happy again. We're going to get cuts, yada, yada. But the most important thing to me, as someone who uses macro for trading pretty much on the daily, the dollar and yields. So again, the dollar pulling back, we're looking at 101. Now, again, the date may not be exactly, obviously. I don't think we'll get to this box here, the shaded area of 101 by July or even August. I don't even think it'll come in June. But again, over time, maybe we get there on September. Pre-election sounds about right, perfect timing. But again, 104.27, that's what we're looking for. So we have our 10-year treasury yield level to watch. We have the dollar level to watch. The volatility index, really, guys, a lot of people say, oh, it's a fear index. It's all about insurance. No one wants to buy it because everyone's bullish. Fair enough. So let's kind of look at it at what it really is. It is like insurance, kind of like the fear gauge, everyone says. So right now it is very, very depressed, very, very low. 1154 is the lowest we had the VIX, and that was in December 12th. So we're back below this trend line. Nothing has really changed there. If we expand this on the weekly, you could see that trend line is still holding with minor deviations, minor breakouts. But for the most part, down as she goes. And the only issue I have with this is the fact that if we start getting to the point of too bullish, too much optimism, they're still, relatively slightly neutral in terms of the greed fear factor. We're slightly back into greed. Took a little bit. But once you start getting to 1154, possibly single digits on the VIX, that's kind of your hint to start, being less irrational and start looking at taking some profits. It's just the reality and how it works. Doesn't mean that the market will never go higher again or will never hit all-time highs. It's just, you just get the kind of flush of people selling, taking profits, and not enough people buying. Doesn't mean there's going to be a stock crash imminent or anything like that. At least the macro backdrop doesn't support that analysis of, oh, we're going to tank or anything like that. And the higher for longer camp, the interest rates are never going to be cut by the Fed this year. Market doesn't seem really to care unless they're moving just purely on optimism, which could be true as well. Crude oil is at 79.32. That is up this morning. Let's take a look at it. Crude oil is holding on to a key trend line. Now, here's the problem. As someone who has energy exposure, I do. You can see we are bouncing. That's a good sign, but we got to get above 80.11. That's the 200-day. If the dollar can pull back more, crude oil will move higher, and we just need to get above that 80 handle. We had a nice inventory report yesterday that did help some of our energy positions, but again, until crude oil starts really cooking again, Above 80, it's not much to do here. And again, we're still in a golden cross. Nothing has changed here. If this yellow line, which is the 50-day, gets below this red line, the 200-day, then we'd have a death cross. It's starting to get close, but again, we're still in a golden cross. So I still expect energy and crude oil to move higher. Yes, I repeat it daily. Whatever. It's just the reality of what I see. Let's take a look at gold. Gold pushing higher, and I expect gold to move higher. I know there was a headline that Michael Burry is buying more physical gold. Okay, fair enough. But I mean, there's nothing new here. We've been talking about how gold will be bullish because of the dollar being lower. So maybe he sees the thesis that I see. Who knows? Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Let's extend this. I don't know what these lines came from. These are probably just extended. Remove drawing. And we'll remove drawing. And again, this is on the weekly chart. Let's straighten out a little bit. Again, above major moving averages, not at all-time highs quite yet, but the question really remains, if you're trading futures here, in terms of gold, you got to break above 2,400 first, and then you can target the all-time highs. Maybe we'll get a crack at it with our futures team. But GLD, I'll be on the lookout for any kind of call options. Finally, we closed some risk out. We got Apple off the board. So maybe we'll get an opportunity to take a look at some other things. So GLD filled its gap here to the upside on the daily. And SLV about to break 27.24, but it needs to hold above 27. And copper, as someone who has Freeport McMoran, very, very important that we get above 5. But again, been extremely volatile on HG. You can see 512 and then pulled back to 487. That might affect FCX as we are pulling back and we're now red. Of course we are. So sad. But this is why you buy time. All right, let's answer some questions. Morning. Baidu here for the long term after earnings. I did not read Baidu's numbers personally, but China stocks are on the move. Can't doubt that. You can see the break here. I have an alert above 117 on Baidu. If that breaks above the 200-day, fair enough. But as of right now, I think the China stocks have a lot to prove to us. They're not there yet, in my opinion. I know there's some flows into it, but again, I'm not going to get too excited for it. Why is Tesla going the opposite way of SPY and TQQ and QQQ? Because Tesla is being priced as a car company, which is a consumer discretionary. EVs are a luxury still. It's not exactly something that's available to everyone. You know, charging stations aren't everywhere. So again, you're talking about more like a luxury good at this point. So, you know, we're starting to see kind of consumer trends. The retail sales number yesterday was flat. So Tesla's being priced in not as a technology company at this point, but more as an auto company. So use the comps of GM and Ford. And granted, Tesla keeps cutting prices of their cars. A lot of bad news comes in regarding lawsuits. It's just what happens. Remember, this stock was just at 140 and marked for death prior to earnings, and then it bounced back up to 194. I still think Tesla has more to go. I still think Tesla gets to 200 at least, but we need 184.69 to break first. You're welcome. If if the Fed cuts rates, does that mean stocks go up? Yes, but just not initially. Yes, when you do get rate cuts, it's meant to stimulate asset prices because the dollar will go down in value. And what are stocks priced in? Dollar. Guess what else is going to go higher if we cut rates and the dollar falls down? Yep, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is going to hit all-time highs. I don't have an exact date, guys. I'm sorry, but we are setting up for all-time highs again easily by the end of the year. I have no doubt there. Maybe even sooner. But again, timing this is a whole different proposition. SLV up nicely today. What is your outlook now? 27.24 is the break level. Once we get there, now we got to really expand out here. We got up to 34 to 35 on silver, and I fully expect it to get there. Absolutely. I fully expect SLV to go a lot higher. If you just want to go ahead and throw some lines here, you could see it. You know, very similar to those assets like a Bitcoin, like a gold. Again, price in dollars. If the dollar's worth less, commodities are going to move higher. If we start cutting rates, guys, gas prices are going to go up. That's just the reality. It's going to be inflationary. So this is why, you know, people are like, we need to cut rates now. I mean, unless you want more inflation, because that's what it's going to bring. XOM also went nicely. What's the outlook? Actually, just did a chart on it. Again, still have that cup and handle. Still setting up for upside, in my opinion. Got to get above 120.67. I wrote this here on the watch list and charts, and check it out. Last time we were above the 50-day moving average with a 50 RSI. This is how it is. And it was back in August and here in May, where we just got into it right here. We bounced from 104 to right around 119 within a month in August. We are setting up, in my opinion, for that kind of similar move, as this is a cup and handle. We just have to wait. I hate it too. How is BITO looking? BITO is not open in terms of the market yet, but as I drew before, I think it was yesterday, you can see that slight little breakout. And I showed you guys the Bitcoin chart. BITO is going to go higher. Now we're just looking for volume. We're looking for time. I mean, at this point, we're just waiting. I'm trying to get in video calls, but scared for the dip. What is a good safe target for expiry? If you're scared to trade Nvidia, that means it's probably too expensive. So your best bet is just to buy and hold the stock. It's going to go back to its all-time highs. The problem is you have earnings next week. Very, very expensive. So I'd sit that one out. I'd wait until at least earnings if you want, unless you want the $30 discount now, because pretty much all-time highs is pretty much baked in at this point. The question is, does it reverse? 1, 2. Could it be a triple top? But again, out of this breakout here, we also had a flag here, a downward wedge, excuse me, breakout. This is going to move higher, guys. But trading it with options is very difficult because it's so expensive. FCX, let's look at it again. This is copper again. 1 hour chart. Let's bring up let's see the 4 hour. I mean, pretty nice. FCX. I mean, it's still breaking out. We just have to wait for 55. We're trading at 53.27. We pulled back with copper. That's pretty much the only issue there with FCX. But higher looks like if we would have broken down below 50, then I would have been very, very sad. But FCX is going to move higher. It is trading at 53.27. I don't know why it's giving me a 53.06. So if we can go to the hour, you could see, there you go, 53.06 on the 50. The daily does not have the pre-market price. So just a heads up. And this is a shooting star candle. So we are going to move higher. The last time, if you guys remember, the video, I'm sure. Let's go back to it, back in time. Last time I said that we had that kind of candle. Which was this? Oh, yes, that was the inverse. I'm sorry. Inverse hammer candle. Remember we talked about that? That was on May 1st. Hey, this is usually a bullish candle reversal. Lovely. I thought FCX had that. Sorry. FCX does not have that. FCX has a shooting star. Now the question is, do we get additional move higher? And I say we do. AMD calls. Let's see it. AMD, I still need 165. 165, and you're right there at the 100 day. So give me a little more, and then AMD, I'm in to trade it, but we ain't there yet. XOM is still good, yes. Intel's bouncing a little bit. Got a gap to fill here at 34.49. If we can get above 31.87, maybe we'll take a look at the options market for a possible gap to fill play here at 34. But until we open, I don't see the volume as of yet. And that is where we are for the day. I don't know what to expect now. We just had unemployment claims come in slightly higher than expected. Seems kind of flattish right now. We need some kind of move, and that starts with this guy, the dollar. So if the dollar falls, yes, stocks will benefit. But if it stays where we are here, kind of green, we're going to be flat for the day. It's going to be a waste of the day, unfortunately. But we'll see what we get. Have a great rest of your morning. I will see you guys on the server. If you guys want access to our Discord server and you love the morning note, like to talk more about stocks, trading, and all this good stuff, bottom of the screen here gives you the access to the Discord. We'd love to see you there. Have a great rest of your morning. I will see you there. Cheers.